I gave my last money to a stranger. What happened next changed my life forever. There was a time I was working on a project and desperately needed sponsorship. I had applied to several companies and kept praying for an opportunity. Then one Sunday, during church service, something unexpected happened. I felt a gentle but persistent prompting in my heart. That other account you have, how much isn't it? I knew exactly how much was there. Then came another instruction, withdraw everything and sow it as a seed concerning the sponsorship you've been praying for. Immediately, I became uncomfortable, but that's the money I survive on. Still, the prompting remained, trust God. After service, I went straight to the ATM and withdrew everything, every naira. As I held the cash, all my responsibilities flooded my mind. Food, bills, promises I had made, things I needed for the week. Yet deep down, I believed God was asking me to obey. As I walked home, I felt led toward a particular house in my neighborhood. I knew the owner, he seemed comfortable, he had a beautiful house and drove a nice car. I couldn't understand why someone like him would need my small amount of money, but I knocked on the gate anyway. The man opened the door. I greeted him respectfully and said, "Sir, I feel led to give you this money." He looked confused. "All of it?" "Yes, sir." He counted the money. Then something happened that completely shocked me. Tears began rolling down his face. He looked at me and said, "This is the exact amount I need right now." He explained that his bank accounts had been frozen during an investigation. His wife and child were in the hospital, and he needed that exact amount to settle the hospital bill. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I was praying about this today. God sent you." I left his house amazed. I had obeyed, but now I had absolutely nothing left. I was completely broke. At one point, I even questioned myself. Had I made a mistake? But I kept reminding myself that obedience is not always comfortable. Then something unexpected happened. 3 different clients who had owed me money for months paid me on the same day. Not 1, not 2, 3. I couldn't believe it. The very people who had ignored my calls suddenly paid what they owed. I was overwhelmed with gratitude. God had provided. Then, 2 months later, I received an email from one of the companies I had approached for sponsorship. They wanted me to come to their head office to discuss my proposal. I was excited and nervous. The next day, I dressed professionally and went for the meeting. After waiting for a short while, the receptionist informed me that the CEO wanted to see me personally, and froze. Sitting behind the desk was the same man I had given my last money to. He looked just as shocked as I was. Then he smiled. "You're the one behind this proposal?" I nodded. He stood up and said, "I've been looking for you. I wanted to thank you for what you did for me." Then he said words I'll never forget. "We will sponsor your project from beginning to end." Just like that. No delays. No obstacles. The sponsorship was approved. As I left that office, I realized something powerful. Sometimes, what looks like a sacrifice is actually preparation for something greater. The lesson wasn't really about money. It was about trust. Trusting God even when you don't understand the process. Trusting Him when obedience feels uncomfortable. Trusting Him when the outcome isn't clear. Because the author of your story can see the ending long before you can see the next page. And sometimes, the breakthrough you're praying for is already on its way. You simply have to trust Him enough to take the next step.